A difference for us too is like, it's like the difference between, say you have to go to the hardware store and you need something. And for most companies, they're like the guy where you're like, oh, excuse me, where do I find this? And they're like, oh, I don't know, down like aisle like 12 or 13. And they like point and then they walk away. They couldn't care less. They showed you, I guess, the general direction. You can go down there and search for it. And then watch the videos over and over and over again because that's all you get. But we're like that overly enthusiastic employee, and we're like, hey, no, actually, like, come with me. I'll show you. We have these different options, and like this one works best for this and this, and we give it to them. But also, when James was talking, I was thinking it's kind of funny because Zach and I have talked about how like phase one is really helping the students develop the mindset that they're going to need in order to like dominate the markets in phase two. But when James is talking, and I tell the students this often, I'm just preparing them for James. I am preparing you because you think I'm hard on you. You pull this stuff over there and you're going to get ripped a new one. So I let them know. And like, it's kind of like, I feel like I'd be the trading mom. I'm like, you just wait till your dad hears about this. But it's like gonna be like we're like co-parenting here, and I'm gonna like send them to you.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement.
Welcome to the Prosperity U podcast. This is where we can essentially talk about some really key topics that have to do with success in general, but more specifically, we tend to tie it towards trading. A large part of our education with the movement here has to do with trading, and so there's a lot to talk about with it. Now, this week we're actually going to be talking a little bit more along the lines of Janelle's perspective as one of our coaches. And I can guarantee you James feels the same way. So it'll be fun to hear his opinion on this. But yeah, so Janelle, do you want to share what is your perspective when it comes to you being the coach for our members?
Like in regards to how the rest of my life ties into
Zach
it?
is opening up with such a broad question. Yet
He does this to me. I'm like, we touched base on the topic earlier. So, well, as most of you know or may not know, I'm a mom, and I am a stay-at-home, work from home, homeschooling mom. So full-time, like 90% of the time. And that definitely rolls over into my coaching for our students, in the sense that with my kids, I just want them to have their best lives. And I know I cannot control the course of their lives, but I can instill the very best values and, information and knowledge that I have, and I can continue to learn and get better as I go. But I can give that to my kids, and then it's my responsibility to like lead them back to the right path when they get off course, right? Spare the rod, spoil the child. I don't beat my kids by the rod. I just mean discipline. They have to know that there's consequences for some of their actions, and our students, they're the same. So everyone on this call has kids. Travis has only one at this point. May God bless you.
That we know
12
of.
more little mini Travises, little mini Hennigans. But like, Zach, can you agree, Zach and James, that each of your children, while you may love them all equally, they all need to be parented a little bit differently?
In some cases, a lot of bit differently.
But differently, right? They're all different.
Yeah, for sure.
I look at our students the same way. And the really cool thing is, you guys give me a lot of, like, what's the word? I'm allowed to be as creative as I want when it comes to working with the students. And so we're finding like there's a few different personality types and they interact with the market differently. So I have to kind of like coach each kind of person a little bit differently. Some people need a lot more hand holding. Some people you don't even have to raise your voice at. Some kids you just look at them sideways and they know. And some kids don't listen to you, like my youngest, until you like absolutely flip your lid. And so our students are kind of the same, and that comes into
Well,
that definitely comes into my training.
sometimes they also have to be the ones to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But yeah, I love the analogy. And not that we view our members necessarily as children from a mental capacity, right? But in terms of like, you're looking at us to help guide you and coach you through the journey, right? As the trading parents, if you will. And I totally agree. It's such a good analogy. And I think, Janelle, you had in your emails this week, you had something like along the lines of like, if your kid is about to jump off a balcony, like you yell at them, right? Like, don't make a stupid choice in that scenario, because they're going to get hurt. Right. So the same with our members. If they're about to do a stupid trading decision, like, we're going to yell at them, like, for your own safety, do not do this.
Or if they're holding, like if your kid is holding something like a very valued possession of yours, and I don't really like have anything super expensive that I worry about, but like, you know,
grandma's
just something valuable. And my daughter, she broke my ukulele, right? And I had told her not to like throw it around because it's not a throwing toy. And she did it anyways. And it was an expensive mistake for me. But our traders, if I see you acting a fool in the market, I'm going to let you know, because that could end up being a potentially expensive mistake for you.
Yeah. James,
I tell them that they're messing with my reputation when they do things like that. So I'll give it a sort of a pass the first time, but we'll say that's not the way to do things. The next time, no, what are you doing? Are you here to make pips, or are you giving it a go or dabbling? Take it seriously. Treat it like a job. It'll pay you more than any job. Mess with it and it will really mess you up. And then if you keep making the same mistake, by the time we get to the third time where we're having the same conversation, it is a conversation along the lines of just exactly what do you think you were doing? What are you doing here? Like, really, what is your purpose? And is this where you want to be? Or, you know, don't let the door hit you on the arse on the way out, kind of thing. Because it's mental to not take trading seriously. I've taken it very seriously. And I'd like to think it comes across in the sessions. There were some shorts today that I wasn't expecting or waiting for. I left them alone, and I was happy to tell people I'm leaving now. I'm not having that. It gave me a little bit at the beginning, but no, then it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And the pullbacks were ugly. Okay, so we were safe, and we were right to be safe. It's safety first. And it's one of the major things I try to get across to everybody. You don't have to be on every single bus. Some of them can go, they can bugger off and go without us, and we get the next one, you know? There's always another bus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Safety first. I mean, trading is learning how not to lose more than it is learning how to win. Protecting yourself is by far the key. And that's by far the biggest challenge that people have, is they don't know how. And so then they make emotional decisions, and then there goes more money, and then more emotion. And then it's like this negative cycle, which is why it's important to have a coach or a mentor in that sense.
It can shave 4 years off your learning process, having a mentor. The average trader, it'll take 5 years for an average trader to make it consistently without a mentor. Add a mentor in, and you're cutting that time down to 20% of what it was, like, you know.
Yeah.
So much better chance having a mentor.
5 years, but I think an important statistic here, based on the brokers, is that the new people jumping in have a turnaround of 30 days. They
Yeah.
don't give themselves 5 years.
Yeah.
They give themselves a month, maybe 2 months, 6 months at best for these new people, especially when they don't have the mentor. When they have
Yeah,
the mentor,
because
one is
I
it's
give it a
possible to,
go.
yeah,
Right.
give it a go. I'm interested in making this work. We talk about that all the time. Are you interested or are you committed?
Yeah.
And that's a big commitment. 5 years is a big commitment for, I think, just about anything out there to see some decent results, right? But
Yeah.
5 years in trading is a long time. Like there is plenty of time to be able to jump in and get some really cool results if you're doing it correctly, right? And so, like, I think the average person thinks about their investments with the perspective of a limited resources, right? And so you have the idea of putting money that you barely have at the end of the month, right? To maybe 10-20% of your income, and you want to possibly put that towards like a mutual fund or something that compounds at on average between 5 and 12% per year, right? Over 5 years, congratulations, you've probably made a couple $10,000-$20,000. 5 years. And so it's like, man, that's a long time to try and make very little money. And we're sitting here saying that there's a completely opposite, that resources can be limited. Instead of doing it month after month after month, do a one-time thing here with us, but do it correctly, and then it will completely reduce how long it takes for you to actually get to where you're trying to get to. Not 5 years, okay? Maybe we're talking in about 5 months, or God forbid it takes you 1 or 2 years to get somewhere significant. But the whole idea is that to be able to get there, this opens up such a world of possibility. And all that Janelle's wanting to do is to make sure that everyone is on, well, Janelle and James both, I should be pretty clear here, is on the narrow path, because the path to trading is very wide. There are lots of different things that you can do trading, most of which are really bad. Okay. But the path to profits and consistent profits is very narrow. Okay. And so just like when, the idea of having something expensive that Janelle's kid was playing with, or maybe doing something dangerous like standing on the edge, like the path of life is broad. You can do whatever you want, but there's a very narrow one of doing it safely and effectively and stuff. And also it's because that path is so, I'm trying to make this make sense. Okay. It made a lot more sense in my head, guys. All right.
I gotta say
But the
narrow
path
but
to
simple. Narrow but simple. Like you'll hear it from James, you'll hear it from Zach. Like you'll hear it's narrow but simple. But that simple is not necessarily so easily attained in regards to information, because it's step by step simple. But it's like, anyways, sorry guys, I'm just jumping in now, eh? Couldn't help it. But yeah, you're on some good tracks there, Travis. What did I miss?
Well, we're talking about how how sometimes when we're coaching our members, it's almost like we're their trading parents, and in the way that we need to coach them, and sometimes if their financial risk is at jeopardy here, we kind of are a little more bold and direct in how we correct that, because we don't want them to suffer any injury,
Right.
financial injury. It's just a very key part to that.
And
I see it as a different type of mentorship. I've seen mentorship from other companies where they'll say to you, "Oh, sorry, didn't you get that? Maybe for just another $10,000 or $2,000. Haven't you got that $200? Then we'll show you this other thing that might be the key to your problem." That's nonsense. That's not mentorship. That's salesmanship.
withholding
Mentorship is,
information.
what
Yeah.
have you done? Why? And sometimes it needs a firm word. It really needs it. Why would you do that? What were you thinking? Were you thinking?
Well, also as a parent, not that parenting is necessarily always simple, but doesn't it seem like the solution as a parent seems pretty incredibly simple? Like, don't do that. It's not wise. I need to instill wisdom into you, child. Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like
a difference for us too is like, it's like the difference between, say you have to go to the hardware store and you need something. And for most companies, they're like the guy where you're like, "Oh, excuse me, where do I find this?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know, down like aisle like 12 or 13." And they like point and then they walk away. They couldn't care less. They showed you, I guess, the general direction. You can go down there and search for it. And then watch the videos over and over and over again, because that's all you get. But we're like, we're like that overly enthusiastic employee. And we're like, hey, no, actually, like, come with me. I'll show you. We have these different options. And like this one works best for this and this. And we give it to them. But also when James was talking, I was thinking it's kind of funny because Zach and I have talked about how like phase one is really helping the students develop the mindset that they're going to need in order to like dominate the markets in phase two. But when James is talking, and I tell the students this often, I'm just preparing them for James. I am preparing you because you think I'm hard on you. You pull this stuff over there and you're going to get ripped a new one. So I let them know. And like, it's kind of like, I feel like I'll be the trading mom. I'm like, you just wait till your dad hears about this. But it's like gonna be like we're like co-parenting here, and I'm gonna like send them to you.
Do you guys remember when we were with the other organization, To Be Unsaid, on this call? And as a matter of fact, like this week, I don't know how many of members came from that organization. By the way, at least two in the last week have come from the other organization that we know of. But I'm pretty sure it could be more. But the point is that I will never forget. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but being on calls, and I'm sure that we've covered this in previous videos, but it's sparking this in me. Like this is something that I talk about often, even on the calls when I'm we're in the process of welcoming somebody new in here. But you may or may have not experienced this before. And if you have to just come over to the light side, like leave the dark side. Okay. Come over to the light side. But like, do you guys remember we'd be on calls with like hundreds of people and these educators would be all like, hey, it's normal for only 1% to 3% to make it in trading. And so if you're not in the 1% to 3%, you need to work harder. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, I swear that everybody that invested into this should be actually technically in the category of the 1% to 3%. We're all congregated here to do this, right? Like out of trillions of people in the world, we don't even have, like, we got to be fitting in that number. How do we not hold you accountable to that? And then the next thing would be is we'd have a question for them and we'd be like, hey, so-and-so, Mr. Educator, Mrs. Educator, what about this? And then they'd say something like, hey, did you watch the video? Well, yeah, like 5 times. And then they'd be like, your mindset's off. Go watch the video again. It'd be like, really? Answer the damn question. Answer the question. What's wrong with just answering it directly?
I've been fighting that for I don't know how long. Like, I actually think this is one really cool thing about us as a team. We don't accept norms, period. So if somebody says, oh, it's normal for 3% of traders to be successful, screw that, right? Or I mean, that goes everywhere, right?
Hey, listen, hey, Zach, it's normal that there's a 50% divorce rate and 75% for entrepreneurs. That means 3 out of 4 couples. That's what's supposedly normal right now. Do we accept that as being what's proper?
No.
I'll accept the 3%. But it has to be the people out there that are in the 97, and we are the 3%. Yeah. That's what I'll accept. That's all I'll accept. Anything else, you're messing now.
Yeah, and I remember, like, I always hated that excuse of like, if there's somebody struggling in your program, you just blame their mindset and you don't even give them any kind of guidance. Could their mindset be at fault? Yeah, sure, but you need to be like, here's what I see you doing, like, or here's what I'm observing from you in terms of
providing a solution.
Yeah, you're guiding them to the solution to overcome that thing. It just, that upsets me a lot because I used to, my first journey in entrepreneurship was in marketing, affiliate marketing specifically, and I was doing really well, and there would be these new people that would come into the Facebook group and they'd be like, hey, I did everything the video said and it's not working. What am I doing wrong? Like, it's just a request for help. And immediately everyone in that community would just jump on and be like, fix your mindset. Clearly your mindset is off because you're asking a genuine question. It always made me mad.
There is a difference between mindset and attitude, though.
I do refer students back to the videos in here. However, That's our videos are short and to the point, and it's never like go watch 3 hours or a
I
week.
know.
Do you
Well,
remember
that
the
was
week
the
ones?
thing. That was the thing, is like these videos were always like jam packed with 20 minutes worth of a guy blaring music and like just bragging for the first 20 minutes, and then another 40 to 55 minutes worth of just
Oh man.
walk. Like at the end of it, you're just sitting there like, what just happened? And I feel like there's a bunch missing for some reason. It was like being on a hamster wheel of constant like just hype and, for lack of a better term, bullshit. Like it was just an ego drive.
You've
Like,
just given me a good idea though, Brian. I think I'm gonna spend the first 20 minutes of our boot camp just playing my ukulele poorly.
just like, oh, yeah, I'm glad I could be of inspiration to
I think they'll
people
like
dumber.
that. I think they'll like that.
Well, back on that the idea though, with people showing up to the community and being like, "Hey, this video is not working for me," or "I watched it multiple times and it's not working," blah blah blah. There's a big difference between mindset and attitude. Okay, and to clarify what this means is what we look for with people and what is successful for people is to have the right mindset, the go getter mindset of, I'm going to try and go review these videos. I'm going to go with the resources that I have. I'm going to go try and do it again. It doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to reach out and get support the proper fashion, and we have ample amount of support here. And the attitude about doing it is like, most times when we've seen people in that environment posting, they're saying, I'm so frustrated. This doesn't work for me. This is a bunch of bullshit. I knew it was this was going to be a problem. Like it's just a bad attitude melded in with the bad mindset, right? And you guys can speak up on any of these parts with this, but I just don't want to tear anybody down that's actually going through something right now and saying, I can't seem to figure it out on my own with these videos. That's okay. You're not in trouble. You have the attitude to come and ask for help appropriately, then you're going to receive as well, right? Like that's kind of the idea.
Here you receive the help, but at a lot of
Yeah.
other
Video.
places, you're just directed back to the video. And if you're struggling, nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to, because nobody that was actually leading was trading. And so here, like the leaders are like, we know the trading inside and out. That's what we do. It's not like we're just selling something to you for the sake of selling it. We're like actually like in the trenches doing it. I think it makes a huge difference. And then you can talk to James. Like you can go on a live trading call with James and
you
chat,
can
and
jump
he'll
on a
sometimes be
Zoom
like,
call,
unmute.
a one-on-one Zoom call with him. I can't tell you how many people are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing and reaching out for support, and James is right there in your DMs. And literally, oh, you're that, like, I mean, again, I'm pointing out, like, and I believe that Travis was sticking up there for a second, because Janelle, you did say you do point some people back to the video, and that's important because there are some people that aren't watching the video.
Exactly.
And we can tell they're not watching the video because the system tells us in the back end that they haven't watched it. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a bad mindset.
There's a video I point people at. There's a lot of people who have problems installing the tech. I can't this, I can't that. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've installed for people, and it does get a bit tedious, I won't lie to you. So I always point them, there is a YouTube video, there's the link, there's the date, and it tells you how to install MT4, MT5, ThinkTrader, whatever it is you need. It goes through all of the steps in the process to install it.
But you're also there if they're still stuck after that, though, right? Like that's the thing. It's like, go back to that and then come back to me. If it's not working, then come back to me. These guys,
because self-help is a good help. If you do it themselves just once, it can be life-changing,
Totally. But what I'm trying to point out in this other organization was, it was always, instead of answering the question, or like even like it was like, go back and watch the video. Like, to me, it's like even detailed where it's like, if you go back and watch the video at this point, there is a point in there where I actually address that specifically and exactly in such a fashion. Now, if you go back and watch that and then come back to me afterwards, if you're still stuck, not a problem, right? But the attitude was just always like, oh, you watched it 5 times, oh, your mindset's off. Just throw it off to the side. That bugged me.
Just find a new strategy.
That's the point.
find a
that's
new
a good.
one, then learn another strategy instead. That's what the mentality was. Oh, this doesn't work for you, try this. So I was learning like
That
four, wasn't learning anything, but I was watching the videos
Yeah.
for four different strategies at one time.
So
Yeah.
unfocused was also an issue, but that kind of points out a really key factor that I think is important for people to understand, that we can point you to videos. We didn't create them just to create them. They're there to educate, right? And sometimes some people still need some help afterwards, and that's totally okay. That is totally fine. But the mindset of not being resourceful or willing to go and get dirty by yourself is pretty poor. We can't do everything for you. You've got to do some by yourself. But that, again, this is the one main takeaway I want to say right here, is that that's the power of mentorship and coaching. Because if information by itself was going to give you all the results that you want, there's enough free content out there on YouTube University and all that other stuff that if it were just information, you can go get it all and go be successful by yourself. Now it's not. And so when you come on board with someone like us, and we're like, hey, we have a very focused, instead of Janelle going to 4 different strategies at once, let's focus you on the task at hand and get proficient with one thing at a time kind of thing, right? Make it simple, stepwise fashion. And you're going to have the mindset and the resources to go be resourceful by yourself. And if you still need more help, here, we actually have all these other avenues for you to go through. But the ones that are skipping that first step, which is to be as self-sufficient as possible, when they skip that step, that's very aggravating, because there's probably a lot of information and time that Janelle and James just don't have to be able to give to you that moment, because we also have a plethora of other people to go and serve, and they're the ones going into the trenches. So it's important. What we're trying to say here in all of this is there is an orientation, and there is a specific orientation for someone to become a successful trader. Okay, and you
The
just got to be
blueprint.
put on that path. The blueprint, right?
Watch
There's
the
a specific
blueprint in depth.
It's
Focus on it.
it's also, it brings to mind, like, this applies in a number of places where if you're able to be resourceful, not only that's not just helpful for us, like that's helpful for you, because now next time you have a question, you're like, okay, last time I figured this out by myself. I didn't have to wait for someone to respond to me or anything like that. I could go do it. And so a quick example for that, quick confession. So if Donald is listening to this, I'm sorry, but I'm not. All right. So when Donald first came on board with me, Brian, and Travis, when we had our marketing agency, he was asking me a lot of questions, and there was a lot of times that I purposely did not answer for like 5 or 6 hours. I purposely just let it sit in the inbox, not answered. Guess what would happen? Within a couple of hours, he would email me again and say, never mind, I found it. I figured it out.
Yeah. Urgency kicked in.
And now the dude he's better and faster at that than what he does than I am. And I was the one that taught him.
Yeah.
Right.
There's some, you have some really, really good, like, mentorship, like modeling things that you do to get people to move. You've done that with me.
Yeah.
We just got a
with
question from Dwight. It says, what I'm hearing is that support with helping traders with their issues is prosperity's foundation.
Yes.
Sounds fair, yes.
Yeah. And sometimes it comes in a tough love fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's our reputation you're messing with. If you're not doing it like it was set out to be, we'll help you to do it properly. There is a right way. There is a next right step to take if you haven't taken it already. And I mean in trading, I don't mean in buying a course or, I mean in trading, there is a next right step. Whether you've done it right or wrong so far, there is always a next right step. So yes, support is key.
But
It's not only finding their issues, but it's also an accountability aspect as well.
Yes.
Because we can help you identify the issues, whether it's the trading or an emotional complex or whatever it may be. We can help you identify that and find solutions for it. But there's also an accountability with having other people look at your stuff. Okay, if you know that other people are going to be watching your trades, you're probably going to be a little bit more diligent on making sure that your trades are up to snuff. Okay, and not the least of which, just for an example to really drive this home, is that there's a set of rules. They're very simple with trading. And any strategy has their set of rules, every single one of them. Okay. And if we're watching you trade and we see that you broke the rules, even if you were correct, the only thing that you've done for yourself is set yourself up for the opportunity to decrease your statistical likelihood of being correct next time, because you broke the rules once and then you got excited because you made it correct. Then the next time that happens and you're like, oh, you know what? I think I can do this again. And then it's also correct. And then all of a sudden you think you've reinvented the wheel, and then you keep going down this path of not following any of the rules. And that's when people blow their accounts. It happens all the time outside of prosperity movement. With us, you're held accountable to the highest degree. We see what you're doing, right?
And we have some real statistics. I remember, and I still track this, maybe not as hard as I was, but here's the stats. So when we were involved with a different organization where there was not really any mentorship involved, it was just videos. We had a 2% success rate with us and everyone that we brought with us. 2%. Oh, it stung. And that's when we decided we got to do our own thing. So we did our own thing, and it increased our percentage to 14%. Not because we were doing mentoring, but because we actually simplified stuff. That's all we did. We just simplified the strategy. Boom, increased to 14%. When we actually started talking to people to like help them, boom, it went up to over 50%. When we added accountability, which is where we get to actually watch you trade, all of a sudden now we're at 92 to 97% success rate on a daily basis. Like,
well said.
It's all tracked throughout our journey here as a company. It's crazy, and now we just keep honing it in, and like we got our eyes set on phase 2 to hone it in even more, because we have more people moving on to that step.
It's just it's so exciting to witness. And like, so Travis just really nailed it, like the foundations of support and accountability. And he also started kind of like diving into like key elements to that, right? Most of the world, okay, most people, I don't know if you notice this in your life. If you're a listener right now, I want you to pay attention how much you focus on problems. Like, how much do you sit in problems? Hey, we would all agree that problems are a part of life. It happens. Shit hits fan all the time in pretty well every category of your 4 pillars of prosperity. But here's the deal. The difference between a victim and a victor, or victim, survivor, victor, the difference between these individuals are not the problems that occur, but how they look at that problem. And even further, something that Travis said was the solutions, because there's always a solution. There's always a solution. Always, always, always. But most people don't even look for it. They just sit and stew in the problem. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Right? That's exactly right. What do you call us, Brian? What's the label?
I would say that over here at Prosperity Movement, we are, and we attract the best solutionaries in the world.
Solutionaries.
I like that. What's a good word?
Solutionary. I don't even know if it's a word.
You
solutionary.
can consider us
I think I'm gonna take that
freedom
for the
evangelists.
Yeah, time freedom evangelists, like the fiduciary solutionaries, right?
Fiduciary solutionaries.
Yeah.
That's
if you don't know what a fiduciary is, you should look into it, because you need people that have your back. Straight up.
I'm having the solutionaries for the Yodapedia. Well done.
Yeah. So good.
And part of finding solutions too that we've done has been a significant amount of it has been a feedback from our members. So like, keep in mind, like it's not like I mean, James is a genius, right? But he doesn't come up with all the solutions, right? Brian's a genius. He doesn't come up with all the solutions, right? All of us are in our own right.
Zach's about to say he does.
I mean, I have the most of that. No, I'm just kidding. But you put us all together, and then you add in the feedback. What are our members actually saying? What are they struggling with? What are their challenges? What do they need help with? What are their suggested solutions? Because they're solutionaries too. All of a sudden, boom, the system gets honed in more and more and more. And that's where we're at. And it's amazing to see brand new people haven't traded a day in their life. They come in, follow the system, and within 5 weeks, they're trading live consistently. It's amazing. And
Is
then
that
they,
Hunter-
Or people who've been trading
I
for a
just-
long time. Janelle is
just-
testament to that.
yeah,
Oh, totally.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I just had to drop a name drop. Hunter, I think it's Boudreaux Boudreaux. I think it is Hunter Boudreaux. Bro, keep going, man. Like this guy's been with us for like just what, a few months, if that, like not even 3
I
months
think
yet.
2 months. Yeah.
2 months.
Hunter's
Oh.
super open to guidance. He is like always on the search for knowledge and wisdom. When he tries something new, he messages me to ask me about it. In fact, he started doing something in his job killer account, and he asked me about it, and I said, you just set yourself up for pod. Like you're on it. You're recognizing these things before you even go over there. He's definitely an awesome
Amazing.
student, and he's a great trader. He's just gonna blow it out of the water. I'm so
we
proud
got
of him.
so many I would want to point out here too, like Paul Hayden. Amazing of you just to be, he's exuding wisdom. He's not quite, it didn't look like he was quite going live, but he's so close. Todd Slaughter, he's jumping in to get the proper support, and you can see the results coming from it. Jennifer Deshane, like she's
brand new
Brand
to trading. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
just rocking it too. She's like averaging, I think, 60-70%.
Yeah,
And she's like fresh, very fresh.
yeah.
And a quick,
This is for
good.
for anyone listening here that's not currently a member. I hope this is testament, and I can't speak for myself, okay? Specifically because I'm not a coach. But these guys that are coaching members know every single one of them by name. And when you bring up their name, they can also talk about the experience with each of these people. It's a very close knit. Like, if I pull up a random person right now, I guarantee Janelle has something to say about the person, that she knows them personally. It's not
I
just
love
this
them
arbitrary
all. I
number
love everybody. Yeah.
that they get
It's-
assigned, and then they're a prosperity movement member all of a sudden, and then told, we got you hot. Now good luck. This is a very, very close knit of people that are going to hold you accountable and make sure you get the results. It's why we guarantee the program. It's a guaranteed income.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry to
There's
interrupt
no,
you.
I think last week or how many weeks have talked about how, like when you're born with a birth certificate, it has your name and a number on it, and the government doesn't look at your name, they look at your number. Over here, it's flipped. We look at your name first.
Yeah.
Right? We look at
Yeah,
your
well,
name first.
To be fair, we don't actually assign a number to everybody. But
The whole premise and point is that
Yeah.
over here you're looked at, you're valued, you're cared for, right? Like
if we see someone struggling, because they submit and they're not getting great numbers, we'll reach out and say, hey, how are things going? Like how are you? What's going on? And we seriously reach out with care, very sincere. And there's actually some examples too, like that I can think of, like, for example, Kelly, who had extensive trading background in the past, I should say extensive trading habits that were developed in the past that were not great. And then when she came here, those habits carried over. But over time with the coaching, I can say I have not seen any kind of massive unprotected loss from her in months. Absolutely amazing, the turnaround there. Another gentleman is Matt over in James's in phase 2. Matt
this
came
is
over from the other organization. Horrible habits, right? He was, man, I was on some of those calls every week. He'd come in, I'm struggling, man. This is, I get confused here, and then this is happening, and I remember this other training from in the past, and then this, and James every time straightened him out. And now every week the guy's like, dude, this is so easy. I don't know why I made this so hard before.
He's
it's
pointing out
saying-
things in the sessions now. He's pointing out levels and areas of resistance, areas of support. This is why this is happening. That's why that's happening. He knows it now. He's really got it now. He's really come together. I wondered that you took him aside and had a word or something, but
Yeah. Absolutely
Janelle,
amazing.
did you beat him with a rod?
I
Which
meant you,
Matt?
Travis, you know, the whole, what's his name, Conor McGregor thing. I thought you'd had a word on the bike sheds or something. But he's really changed. Massive change.
Yeah, absolutely, way big difference.
Guy just abstractly gave Matt some props too in the comments. It says, "I blame Matt for a lot of the things that I've been learning lately."
blame
Like
Matt.
accusatory,
Yeah,
congratulate or gratitude. How do you say that? Accusatory gratitude.
yeah.
I blame you for my success.
And I remember too, like when I was in Idaho with Travis in January, and Brian, you'll remember this. Matt was complaining so much. So nothing against Matt. He was struggling. He was frustrated, right? And he was complaining. And Brian, I remember Brian's like, Zach, I'm losing my patience. Can you talk with Matt? And I did. I was at Travis's house and I had a good conversation with him to say, hey, listen, man, I don't think you're actually listening to James. Like we need to put on like super listening skills and do what he says and forget anything that you think you know. And I remember having that convo, and then that's when things started turning around for him.
And it's funny you say that because like I'm still in the feed. I love Matt. And by the way, if you're listening to this, Matt, I'm not perfect, and I'm actually still learning how to become a better communicator. By the way, Dave Wimbush has pointed me to some seminars that I'm going to be going to, and I know that I'm a bit of a bull in a china shop at times, and I don't mean to be. Like my heart is to help; it always is.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily always rub people the best, and when I'm starting to notice that it starts to happen, I have to tag in the professionals. but and to be fair, I'm also not supposed to be the coach. I'm not the coach in the areas of trading. We've identified that. I probably could have gone that road, but decided not to because it's just not in a natural it's not a natural ability of mine to teach on the level that Zach does. We just got to be honest with that. He's gifted in that area. But it's fun to watch, Matt in the feed today, actually in the chat. Just kind of want to repeat what he said here. I'm still in this
is the improvement he's made. It doesn't matter how we got him there. He's there and he's doing it now. He's hitting the results. That's the important bit.
110%. Like he says here, what did he say? Man, basically that he won his sessions. I think he got over 100 pips or something like that.
Is it the happy to report?
Yeah, but also happy to report happy days for me in the charts again. I met up. Oh, snagged me 10%, a 10% play. What? Come on now. And today, I'm up over 3 with another session coming. So
that's you imagine.
Awesome.
Amazing. And I remember the struggles that he was having and how frustrated he was. And this is what has happened with James slapping him around a bit,
Well, I spend problem.
Just for Dwight there, I see Dwight's back in. The live sessions, we have live trading sessions where you can see my screen and you can hear my commentary. And I am telling you, I want to take this long for these reasons. I don't want that short for those reasons. And I speak it out loud. And then I've skin in the game. I'm in the trade or I'm not. Hey, some I miss. I didn't take a sell today that turned out to be all right. I don't think it was all right. It kept pulling back. It was ugly. But the long I got pips off, the GU long that I got pips off, they were both right and they were both clean and clear. So if it's clean and clear and safe, we're having it, but you'll hear the thought process going into the why we're having it rather than the just, hey, everybody, let's do this. I say, I'm doing it. You can follow if you choose.
Very, very interesting. I love that.
Yeah, skin in the game, right? Like he's literally like,
and you'd be surprised.
$50 lot sizes, that guy right there. Just throwing it out there.
You'd be surprised how many people don't follow, choose not to follow James's lead on some of those trades, which is kind of silly. But that's kind of why we were kind of doing the analogy of being the trading parents and trading children, because sometimes the kids just got to learn the hard way. right? Like, hey, we do this way because we've learned from our past mistakes and our history. And sometimes you got to make that mistake yourself for it to get ingrained and to fit properly.
Now, luckily, in the program, there is room to make mistakes.
There is.
We've embedded that in there so that the learning curve is mitigated and as quick as possible, and there's plenty of opportunity to stay on your feet. Like, there's no reason why learning from experience is going to be judgmental to anybody unless
Right.
you're not following the system, right?
Yeah.
And like you're talking about, we're only comparing to children and parents for the sole purpose of trying to understand why it's so important to have that mentorship and coaching involved in your education with trading. Not the least of which is we're talking about kids that oftentimes are naive or ignorant, and does not mean stupid. It doesn't mean incapable. It just means that there is something that they need to understand, and there are many different ways that can be used to help people understand. But more importantly, there are so many different types of people and personalities and learning styles that we really have to come down and kind of customize this experience. And the only way you can do that is by relationship.
Mhm.
It's the only way.
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. And it takes time to make or break a habit, right? Genuinely, if you've developed a bad habit, it takes time to break it. It takes consistency and it takes support to go through that. Dwight is saying here, my issue is that my criteria is met for entry. I have profit on the table, but instead my greed kicks in and the trade goes against me. And then I'll go into revenge trading and lose 4 trades in a row. That's my issue. I have a whole lot of room to go. And then, of course, James is responding here. But
here's what's interesting about that, Dwight, is that to me, that tells me that you're, in terms of a personality type, you're an A type. You're an action taker. Because every time we have action takers, they do the same thing. Right. So we do have, as James said, we have rules designed to fix that. We have way better strategies to help you recognize when to get out and when to hold back. We also don't have FOMO. Like James said, he didn't enter a trade and it could have gone well for him if he did, but no FOMO, doesn't matter. We waited for the clean and the safe ones.
James, another one. There's a nice Dow one on the go right now, by the way. If Guy, if you're in it, it's a good one. It's broken all we were looking for it to break. You can lock in now, Guy, at about 34.6, I'd say, maybe 5.95.
Just like that. But James, what do you think about Dwight's challenge there with revenge trading? What do you do for members like that?
Well, that's the discipline part. We've got a strategy, and you need discipline to follow that. There you go. You're not on it, you'd be distracted. Fair enough. That's great discipline. Sorry to tell you, I was on it, but the screen's right there. How could I not? We've got it, just so everybody knows, full disclosure. After this pod, we've got a live trading session together as a group. So I need to stay ahead in the game. So it's fair that I'm still looking at the chart.
Totally fine.
I think you have the results to prove that you can trade while on a call.
Absolutely, yeah. So there you go. Yeah, no, I can help you with that, Dwight. You get on one of my sessions and you'll see we don't do revenge trading.
Oh, man.
FOMO. We very seldom do losses. Guy's on. He was on today. Do we do losses, Guy? When did we last do a loss? Tell Dwight when we last took a loss on the chin. Yeah. There you go. See, that's the thing.
Matt's ears must have been ringing. He's in the attendees now.
Hey, Matt, we only said nice things about you, honest.
Yeah. Don't watch the replay, Matt.
And how well
I may have admitted and submitted and committed to change.
Yeah, you've done really bloody well. Very, very, very well, in fact. Very impressive results.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we do have about 10 minutes left, James, if you wanted to get prepped for your call. I know you requested a reminder of that here. You were listening on Facebook and commenting. Oh, we're not even looking at the Facebook.
Learning the Yodapedia. There you go. Did you hear then that we are, what was the support word, Brian?
Solutionary.
That's it.
For everyone who's listening right now, who's not seeing these chats and stuff, we were talking about Matt. We heard the stories, and he was listening on Facebook. Okay, our students are still engaged with us, and he jumped into the live call on Zoom with us, and he said, I was listening on Facebook and commenting, but I want to thank you all for your support, and I have been learning the Yodapedia. Can we talk about Yodapedia for a second here? What is? Can we get some clarity on this Yodapedia?
But it's a kind of a Word document that I've been compiling over the last 20 years or so. And it's basically all the terminology that I come up with. Like solutionary, we have like a trannel, which is a trend channel, and we are plocking, which means we're locking in pips. And there's lots of stupid terminology in there.
It sounds fun. It sounds like the education is more than just this reading a book and look at charts. It actually has some fun to it too, right?
Yeah, because it is what it is. That's just the way it goes. Good, bad, it's the nature of the game. Barney is the pink line, the 55 EMA. There's a lot in there. PTFB, push the freaking button.
BFOs, guy says BFOs.
Okay, I used to rant a lot. I used to rant at people a lot. And we've changed rant. Rant now in the Yodapedia means advise strongly. I don't rant anymore.
That's funny. Matt says that James does like to shop on the calls too. You guys better be paying attention. And James will always say be paying attention, but he's also paying attention to buying things.
It's do as I say, not as I do, right, James?
Yeah, it was. When you get a new something and you need accessories, you want one of these and one of them, and that's so. Yeah, I worked into it.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, do you wanna tie us up here today?
Yeah. Hey, listen, if you are brand new, you're listening for the first time, you've never chatted with us, you've never talked to the team, you haven't done your due diligence, maybe you haven't got the blueprint yet. Maybe you didn't get into all those details. Hey, if you don't know anything about the blueprint, listen, this program, it's about 3 hours worth of material. You can watch it at 2x speed, get it done in an hour and a half. It increases people's success on the other side of this. Chances are, if you actually take the time to go through it, the chances of your success are going to be even higher in the already 92% success rate over here. So if you want that, if you haven't already purchased it, you can get it completely complimentary by going to super simple, go.prosperitymovement.online/prosperity team. That is go.prosperitymovement.online/prosperity team. So you're going to book a time with us. And it's meant for your due diligence. You do need to go through the blueprint in order to talk with us. And there are 4 bonuses that you need to be able to express on that call. Go ahead there, Zach.
Sorry. So now I'm looking at Facebook. Thank you, Matt, for reminding me that that's happening. Jason, who is Kelly's wife, we mentioned Kelly earlier, or sorry, Kelly's husband, my bad. Jason made a comment. It's actually fantastic. He says, this group is the real deal. I have had some issues and Brian called me personally to see how I was doing. Janelle and my wife have an excellent working relationship. They're not just teachers and mentors. They are friends who care how you do.
Man, we love you, Jason. And Kelly.
That's one of our qualifiers. If we're not going to invite you over to our family barbecue, we're not going to work with you, right? We work with people we want to be around, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier to give you a call.
Yeah, totally. Hey,
yeah.
Just come in here wanting to be the best version of yourself. You don't need to be perfect. Just come in here wanting to be the best version of yourself. And Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron. I promise you, you will be sharpened and become a better version of you.
And we'd rather you not be perfect, actually. Because like Zach said earlier, we don't really do normal. So bring your weird, but also be open to wisdom and knowledge.
Come on.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Make sure to click that link, join us on our calendar, get the free content from that. We love doing this podcast every week. We'll be here again next week. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.